Good evening. This is Randy back with the Valentine Goose Channel going over the Whistle Pig. We're at the middle of the book and we're at the poem page. Now the poem, there's no numbers referenced in it. It does have the key vertically, which is the only place where the key is vertical. Some people think that's because this shouldn't have anything to do with the poem. The poem is about actual whistle pigs. There's no numbers referenced, and I haven't had a chance to go through and do any kind of analysis on it. Ooh, excuse me. I just got out of the shower, and I've got to go to work in a couple minutes. There's not really much for me to go over there. You guys can look at the poem yourself. I checked all the forums and stuff, and a lot of people don't see anything there. I will say I did download this and print it. The original, of course, is like 8 by 9. It's a huge map. But if you look on these little thin things down the sides, it has the population of all the counties. There were only 38 states at this time. You can see the Dakotas, or not a state. And of course, Oklahoma says Indian Territory. But this map was printed in 1875, and that was before Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, and I think Montana and Idaho, maybe Wyoming. A lot of those states weren't states in 1875, so that's why Oklahoma says Indian Territory and Dakota Territory and stuff. But it is a railroad map, and I was right about that. If you look here, it says the American Railroad map. But this would be it's got the Declaration of Independence on it. It's got the state populations as a total. It's got all the governors and the distances from New York to a whole bunch of cities. There is a lot of information on this map, which is kind of what you want in a map in 1875, because this would have been hanging in a railroad terminal, I would imagine, so people traveling would know what's going on. But anyway, that's the map that is that's in the cover of the book. I don't know if that'll yield anything, but I did find it. Anyway, after the poem, the next chapter is called Cork. And a curious thing, Gerald Lee Winston, it starts right out with his name was Gerald Lee Winston. Gerald comes out to the magic number 11, and Winston comes out to the magic number 33. So again, we find the numerology plays a part here. 11, 22, and 33. Oh, I didn't even do Cork. I don't have it written down here. Cork would be 6. Let's see, Winston, Gerald, ABC 3. R is 9. And let's see, K, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, 2. Let's see, 6 and 9, 9 is 18, 19, 20. That comes out to 20, so it doesn't come out to one of the magic numbers. But it did say, this is about like a veteran coming home. Doesn't state which war, but it does state Asian. And there's like Vietnam, Korea. I don't think there's a date in here. But there was specifically a number here. Let me find it. Let me find it. I don't highlight in my books because I'm going to pass the book on to somebody else. I didn't want my highlights in there. He talks about the Chevy truck with the little hole in it, and you can see the road through the hole. Two brothers went to war. One would send letters and stuff, and suddenly the letter stopped. It doesn't really say outright that that person was killed. It just says the letters suddenly stopped. And then the other guy, Gerald, hardly wrote any letters at all. Yes, here it is. Gerald did come back, and although no one had ever notified us that he would be 28 days late, and again, it's kind of a really specific number to put in there, 28 days, especially when there's codes and stuff in here, but 28, if this was just a story, I would have thought, well, that's an odd number. Oh my God, I can't stop yawning. This is going to be a real polite video. So, but yeah, 28 days, and then he sent a 18-inch tightly braided black and gray ponytail. And no one knows why. Like, literally no one knows why. For the next year, so Gerald came home and he was kind of quiet. For the next year, Gerald spent most of the daylight hours down by the railroad tracks. He would line up bottles on the tracks and let the train come by and shatter them. Line them up and let the train come by. Some people, I know when I've read the forums and stuff, there's not a lot on this chapter. People can't figure this chapter out. Other than it's a veteran coming back from the war. They think it might have something to do with horse racing. I don't see it, but that's that chapter. And I could go on to the next chapter since I have a lot of time and it's a very short video. 48 States is the one chapter I remember. I mean, when I read this book long time ago, back in the 1960s, I remember reading this story. This is the story that stuck with me. And I don't know what it was about the story. It's just very, very visual. When you read the story, it's like you can just picture it exactly the way it happened. And that, for some reason, that just really stuck with me. I think this is one of the best written chapters. But 48 States deals with a guy sitting in a rest area eating fried chicken from a bucket, as one often does in a rest area. And a big tour bus pulls up and people get out, and one person comes and sits next to him and starts writing into a pad of paper. And it's obviously some famous rocker. Some people think it represents David Allan Coe. Some think it's Johnny Paycheck. But there's allusions in here to I can't think of his name offhand, but like he said he took a normal person and made him famous, and there's a couple of rock. David Allan Coe, I guess, is one, and there's a couple of them. So we know this alludes to a rock star, but why? What does that have to do with it? What do all these allusions have to do with finding the key in the first place? But we'll, when we get done going through all the chapters, I'll have an overview of a wrap up. Anyway, 48 states. There's a number right there in the title. Why it's called that is kind of a mystery, because at the time, it just seems like this. If it was one of those rockers, I don't think that was before Alaska and Hawaii became a state. It would have been after. So why it's called 48 States? I mean, this title has nothing to do with the story, and it's kind of weird. So this guy's sitting there eating chicken, and the tour bus pulls up, and he describes the guy. Apparently, he describes. He looks like a rocker. He's full of tattoos. He's shirtless. He's old. He comes out carrying 2 bottles of beer and a spiral notebook, and he pulls out it's a pen with a bottle opener on the end. And God, I wish I could remember the guy's name, but there's a rocker that was known for carrying around something like that. He offers the guy a beer, and he pops it. He's carrying the bottle opener in the spiral bound notebook. You know, it's like a pen. He stuck it in the spiral of the notebook. And then he just strikes up a conversation with the guy. I'm trying to see if there was any numbers in here. It does say 11:30. It specifies the time was 11:30 in the morning. He comments that the beer tastes really good. And they just have this conversation like, are you the rocker or are you the entourage? And he's like, right now I'm the entourage, but later I'll be the rocker. And you know, so he speaks in riddles, kind of, and 1 minute I was alone eating fried chicken in the middle of the desert, and the next minute some crazy rock and roller with multicolored beads strung from his 18-inch gray beard and rose glass shades was sitting across a picnic table with me, sharing a beer while writing lyrics to a short with a pen equipped with a bottle opener. You know, when you put things that way, it does sound weird. They never mentioned the guy's name. He had rhinestones on his belt. There was no name on the bus, and he's looking around trying to identify this guy. He wrote some words, and then at one point he holds his arm way up in the air, and then he puts it back down again. At that point, a woman comes out of the bus. Some people wonder why he put his arm up in the air, and some think it was to signal the girl in the bus to bring out another beer. Yeah, he said one of these songs made an average guy real big for a while. Like, you know, I guess there's a couple of stories like that where people gave a normal guy his big break. Talked to him about light sensitive. He woke up in the limelight, stumbled in the spotlight, burned in the bright, fired at the starlight, and sought refuge in the bar light. That sounds like something a rocker writing lyrics would say. And then the other guy says, well, I guess you're lucky not to be bothered by the light. And the guy was just like, he drinks a beer. So, there's just something about this chapter that really sparked my imagination. I could just picture the way it's descriptive, and I could just picture everything in there. But not too many numbers, not too many references to things. It does reference 11:30 and the 18-inch beard and all the light, limelight, spotlight. Anyway, that's 48 states. So I'm gonna wrap it up. I don't want to do too many chapters. Plus, I got to get to work. Plus, I'm yawning like crazy. I apologize for all the yawns. But yeah, those are the next two chapters in the Whistle Pig, plus the poem. Plus, I just showed you the map that was in the front and back of the book. And why he would choose this map is another thing. Again, it's 1875. A lot of his stories take place throughout the calendar, throughout the years. But how do you apply a date to finding a puzzle? And that's going to be a puzzle too. Some people think that because they got the shadow of the Whistle Pig, it's going to be a date and time and follow a shadow. And who would do that? Who would use shadows in their poem? But I don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Anything else going on? I don't think so. Got to get to work. And that was interesting. So everybody take care, and we'll see you next time.